It was a tale of two halves here in Washington. The Wizards got destroyed. They got dismantled defensively in the second half, and the Hornets walked away with a 26-point victory. Was it symbolic of how this season's going to go for most of the way? Probably. We'll tell you why here on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Here, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, it's my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi. I'm Ben Strober, happy to be with you today. Wizards drop it tonight here in Washington, 139-113, the final score. Killed defensively in the second half, 88 points given up by this Wizards team. Just tough, AB. That's tough.
Yeah, it was a LaMelo Ball show tonight, Ben. Let's be real. Miles Bridges, second-round pick Sion Jones was having a night. I mean, I don't know, Ben. Like, that first half, it was very promising. Alex Sarr had 17 points, 4 blocks. I mean, he was doing it on both ends of the court. And in the second half, Ben, he wasn't on the court. And I was talking to you and telling you, why isn't he playing out there? What type of strategy is this? This guy is supposed to be the second-year breakout player. And for Coach Keefe not to put him out there, it's just very questionable. And I definitely think he's going to be asked about that in his presser. But just the second half, LaMelo Ball put on a show, like you mentioned. I mean, he's just so special, Ben. The one-legged fadeaways, jump shots, passes, it's insane. Offensively, Trey Johnson looked really nice. I think he ended up with 18 points. That was good to see. CJ McCollum bounce back. A lot of Wizards fans were concerned for his first 2 game performances, but he looked good. And that was the CJ McCollum the Wizards fans were looking forward to this upcoming season. And just overall, in general, the team just there was no life in the second half, Ben, and it sucks because this was the the home opener of the season, and they just got to find a way to bounce back against Philly on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. AB, today feels pretty symbolic of how I think this season is going to go. We know there's going to be a lot of ups, a lot of downs. This team's going to have to roll with the punches, but you saw the effort this team put in defensively in the first half. It was damn good. They allowed a season low of points. In that first half, they had great on-ball pressure. Everything was flowing offensively, and the Hornets only made 3 threes in that first half on 15 attempts. They really struggled to get it going, and they ended up making 12 threes in that second half. There's plenty of defensive breakdowns. They struggled on the drive and kick game because they struggled out of the pick and roll, and man, it was just tough to watch that defensively. But the reason I think it's symbolic of how the year is going to go is because it's going to be tough to get that type of effort that you got on Friday throughout an 82-game season when you have such a young, developing team like you do here in Washington. It's not going to be consistent in terms of defensive production that you're going to get from these guys, because you saw how it really unfolded in the fourth quarter of the game. The effort kind of just didn't look the same defensively as things broke down in the second half. And, you know, we can talk a lot about the lineups that were put out there in the second half. Was it strategically put in there so the Wizards lose this game? Maybe, because there was some questionable rotations, to say the least, for the most part throughout this game. Plenty of positive things that we can talk about as well. We'll get to that as we roll throughout the show. But it's just demoralizing that you end your weekend like that after you're feeling real high and mighty, after you go to Dallas, get a big victory there. Keyshawn George has a career performance. He's not as good tonight. He struggled offensively, ended up fouling out of the game, and really battled foul trouble throughout. But defensively, it's going to be up and down, a pendulum for this team as the season goes on, and it's really demoralizing to see how it went down today, but I think it's symbolic of how it's going to go throughout the year, AB.
Yeah, and I think defensively, some of the matchups, seeing Corey Kispert guarding, LaMelo Ball, that was a little frustrating to watch, because we always harp on the fact that Corey Kispert isn't the best defender on this team. And games like this, Ben, reminds you of how valuable Bilal Coulibaly is as a player. I mean, Bilal Coulibaly, let's be real, is our best defender on this team. Also, Alex Sarr is up there when it comes to being a rim protector. But if you have Bilal in this game, it definitely slows down Charlotte's offense. But it was just Knipple, the 4th overall pick. He was lighting it up from three-point line. The perimeter defense, Ben, I mean, that was one thing that we were harping on going into the season, and it was a problem tonight. Guys were wide open, and then the three-point shots. And Miles Bridges had multiple highlight dunks, and that was expected, and LaMelo Ball was going to get his. But it just offensively, Ben, when the team was down by 10 to 15, it didn't seem like we were going back to ball movement and a lot of ISO ball. The turnovers were very frustrating, and that's how you lose the game in today's NBA.
Absolutely. And AB, I hate to do this because I know he's your guy. He got a lot of minutes out there tonight. But Tristan Vucevic was bad defensively. There was a lot of lateness to it, getting beat backdoor. The charge attempt he tried to take, it was weak. And I know there's going to be ups and downs for him. He's a young player. He did a couple of decent things offensively. But it was a really tough night for him defensively in this one. And you really felt like they were missing Alex Sarr, that anchor that they had in the first half defensively. Just a rough night for him. I'm not going to go too hard in on him. I know defense has been a thing that's been a problem for him throughout his short career so far. But tonight it really to take pace of this game, dictate the tempo. And eventually, once they got it going offensively, the drive and kick game is what killed this Wizards team throughout the game. You saw sorry, I'm messing up the name there for a second. But you saw the back-to-back three-pointers that came from this Charlotte team at one point in the third quarter, and you can really feel like this thing was swinging out of hand. Sion James, sorry about that, I blanked for a second, brain fart. But Sion James, once he got the back-to-back three-pointers on the wing, it looks like they ran the same exact play. There was no adjustment. There was no rotation. Everything was completely different defensively in the second half from the first. It's just weird how it completely shifted like that.
Yeah, and I love TV, Ben. You know I always support my guy, and it was frustrating defensively. He just was getting cooked by the Charlotte Hornets, and offensively there was times where he either got blocked or just wasn't going up strong. And it does make me realize that maybe there is a reason why Marvin Bagley typically gets more minutes than the young guy. But for everything that you go through in this game, for example, I think it's a learning curve. For a year 3 kid who I expect to get more minutes, it's going to be frustrating. Let's remember, guys, this team is in year 3 of this rebuild. The whole idea of that this top 8 protected pick, like, we're not going to be contending. I get it. We had a great win against the Dallas Mavericks. You know, you beat Cooper Flagg, you beat Anthony Davis, but let's be real. Let's go back to back to reality. This Wizards team is they're going to be a lottery team. Hopefully, like they want to keep that top 8 pick. Go ahead, Ben.
It was fun, a fun 24 hours, right? Celebrating
it was.
the Keyshawn George breakout performance, but like we need to tone it down a little bit, get the expectations back to where this basketball team internally feels like it is. Like you've heard Will Dawkins throughout the entirety of the offseason. They don't feel like they're a team that's supposed to compete to win a bunch of games. They want to be competitive, and they were very competitive in the first half. You have an 11-point lead, and you fall apart in the second half. The one thing as a Wizards fan, although you lost the game, you can't look at wins and losses as a big part of the season, the outlook for what you have going forward. Defensive intensity just dwindled in the second half, and that's frustrating to me. You know, you want to see them put in the effort for a full 48 minutes every single night, and I know for a long season you're not going to get that every single night, and that's exactly why the point I tried to make throughout this entire first segment here is that it's symbolic of how the season's going to be. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, and the downs are going to be pretty bad. Like giving up 88 points in the second half is really, really bad. You held them to a season low, or rather it was your team defensively that held Charlotte to the season low in terms of how many points you've given up in the first half. And then you put up that performance defensively in the second half. It's just tough. It's really tough to watch, but, you know, at the end of the day, you can't look at it from, you know, a 3-foot view. You got to be at a 30,000-foot view of this organization where it is internally and how far they really have to go. We've seen some really good things over the first couple of games here, Abdullah, and we're going to touch on that as we roll throughout the episode here. But I was very disappointed in the effort today.
Yeah, and this Wizards team was leading by 13 at one point. In the second quarter, Ben, they only gave up 20 points. I mean, just it's a tale of two halves, like you mentioned early on in the stream. I just hope that this young team can bounce back, be competitive. This Philadelphia 76ers team, and VJ Edgecombe put on the show his debut. Joel Embiid's no scrub. Tyrese Maxey is a baller. So how can this Wizards team bounce back, especially since this was home opener? There was a lot of energy. One, a lot of fans were frustrated with the lack of energy, the lack of perimeter defense, the lack of rebounding, the second chance points, man. I mean, will this be the theme of the season, Ben? And we'll probably touch on this later on the stream, but Alex Sarr not being able to get in more minutes in the third, fourth quarter, and this team defensively just gets beat in the paint. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But for those fans that said after that Mavericks game that we have a shot at making the play-in, I think today was we should draw to a conclusion that's highly unlikely.
Yeah, there's just going to be ups and downs, and that's okay. Like, tonight was bad, and you can live with that. You can tell it how it is. Call a spade a spade. Today was really bad for the Wizards. They were terrible defensively. The effort was god-awful in the second half. I'm frustrated about it, but it's okay. We'll move forward. I think Alex Sarr in the first half was fantastic today. Why did we not really see him in the second half? Let's talk about it here on Locked On Wizards. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, an app that gives fans an advantage, and it's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I recently used Game Time to grab seats, and it couldn't have been simpler. I had great seats within minutes. I love that what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I could see exactly what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. AB, man, I really thought we were going to have a full Alex Sarr video today. After the first half of this game, the buzzer beater that capped off the first half. He had 17 in the first half of this one, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. This is that Alex Sarr breakout performance that we were waiting on. But then he only finishes the game with 25 minutes. He ends up with 21 on 9 of 15 shooting. A very good night, very efficient night for Alex Sarr. He did a lot of things so well in this game, and I was so disappointed to see him not play much in the second half. And I think they're being cautious about the calf injury that he had that kept him out of the end of the Eurobasket and then ultimately kept him out of training camp before the preseason. But I don't know, man. It just at times I feel like you needed to have him out there because of what was happening defensively. You're getting killed with TV out there. Bagley wasn't much help either, and they really missed his defensive presence. He had the 3 blocks in the first half, and he was just the anchor that this team needed defensively, and you don't have him out there.
And respectfully, Ben, if you aren't on the injury report going into the game, I just expect you're 100%. So if it is the calf, that is some situation that you got to monitor. But again, like you mentioned, we're getting killed in the paint. And Tristan Vucevic, he's going to have to learn. He's definitely young, have to come from a long way. Marvin Bagley, 26 years old, there's only so much he could do. Going back to Alex, I mean, he was playmaking as well, Ben. 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Definitely wanted to see him get more rebounds. I want him to aim for that 8 to 9 per game range. I don't know, Ben, because, again, the Hornets, they're a fast team. They love to play, and they have some playmakers on their team. But, again, you're going to put the schedule coming up. It's rough. You have Philly. Then you have OKC, who just won the championship not too long ago. So some other positive things was that we saw AJ Johnson out there, Ben. I mean, another young guy that and he has some type of fan club because a lot of his fans want to see him out there play. I think the equivalent of them is like how I want to see TV play. But, yeah, I think just in general, Ben, like there's a lot to learn from this game, and we're hoping that the young guys can bounce back because we don't want this game to be the theme of every single game, home or away, this upcoming season. Because all we talked about going into this season during the off season was, can you be competitive? That capital C word, and tonight just wasn't it.
Well, I guess I'll use the first half sample size for Alex Sarr to assess how I felt like his performance was today, because the second half he came in and the game was basically already over by the time he got back in the game. So I'm not even really putting that part of the equation. Alex Sarr looks like he's completely refined his game offensively. The shot diet is so much better. He's using his body. He's using his physicality. The couple times where he drop-stepped his way to the bucket, really good post-spin moves from Alex Sarr we've seen to start the year. Every single time he got the opportunity to go at Ryan Kalkbrenner, he did it. He was physical. He was aggressive. And he finished pretty well at the rim, an efficient 9 of 15 from the field. And defensively, he did what he does. Alex Sarr, I've said it so many times, he's going to be such an integral part of this Wizards rebuild going forward. How far can they go as an organization? He's going to be a big reason why. And so far, I think Alex Sarr has really lived up to the billing for what we expected in terms of a year or two jump for him. He's really refined some of his game offensively, and it's going to continue to get better and better as the season goes on. I was just bummed out that we didn't get to see much of it in the second half.
And like you mentioned, the shot diet, Ben, I want to go off that. He made his first three-pointer of the season. This is game 3. So he going into this season and during media day, he talked about how he wants to get better and having a right balance of shooting more shots in the paint. Want to do more of that than just shooting it from the outside. And it's great to see that the confidence is going to grow. This kid, I mean, it's crazy. In the offseason, we were talking about how he wasn't in the top 10 redraft of the 2024 draft, and now there's a possibility where he might be a top 3 player of this draft alongside Keyshawn George. I just think game by game we'll see. This was just year 2, game 3, and he has a big test against Philly. I mean, Joel Embiid definitely could show him some ropes, and I can't wait to see how he does throughout the end of the year, Ben. And I think there's a possibility where it's going to be nights like this, Ben, where last game it was Keyshawn George's night. This night it was Alex Sarr's. One night it will be Bub Carrington's, and another guys will be Cam Whitmore. So we'll just have to see. It's just about playing complementary basketball, and we're hoping they can do that going to Philly.
Yeah, and I feel like with Sarr today, he transformed the way they were able to play offense today, because once they started to view him as a paint threat, that being the Charlotte Hornets, because of how good he was and how efficient he was in the post early on, they started to break down. They started to collapse, send 2 guys his way, and that's where you saw the opportunities. I think back to the play in the second half, he got the ball down low, spun, had the double team come, kicked it out to Trey Johnson in the corner for 3, like boom. That's your offense. That's what you want. You want Alex Sarr to be such a threat down in the low post that you have others that need to collapse down, and you're going to allow other guys to get open. I know Keyshawn George had a bit of a rough night shooting the basketball compared to, obviously, Friday, where he went crazy and made 7 threes, but that's going to happen. Sometimes Keyshawn George is going to have a cold game. Sometimes everybody is going to have a cold game offensively. But if Alex Sarr can continue to go at the pace he's going in terms of his development, playing in the low post, and proving himself offensively, he's going to make everybody else better around him. That's what's really been the biggest takeaway for me so far. I'm excited about that.
Shout out to another rookie, Ben, Will Riley. He looked comfortable early on. He only finished with 5 points and a rebound, but I think he looks way better than advertised. Last season, I was going to say that we didn't see much of Keyshawn George until the latter part of the season, and I didn't think Will Riley was going to get that many minutes early on, but even if it's 5 to 7 to 8, 9 minutes a game, those are some things you can build off of. So shout out to the rook. It was a nice pass from CJ McCollum off transition, and he does a great job of being patient under the rim. I know a lot of young guys can get flustered, but he waited under the rim and had a nice layup, and we're hoping that he can build off it. And going back to Trey, Ben, 18 points. I think he's scored, 16 to 15 each game, so he's going to put up a really good fight for Rookie of the Year and hopefully all rookie first team. And just, I think in general, Ben, like, the first half was very positive. You can be very optimistic as a Wizards fan, but again, giving up 88 points in the second half, it just reminded me of the Wizards from last season, and this whole offseason was about getting better defensively, and I want to see how different this team does look defensively when Bilal comes back. Obviously, I'm not saying that we would have won the game if Bilal was playing, but how much of an impact of his perimeter defense? We know that he can be an elite defender, and offensively, is he going to be able to get out of that shooting slump or get better with the shooting splits and have that year 3 jump? We'll just have to see, and we're hoping that he comes back sooner.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how his game maybe transforms the way they look defensively, because the on-ball pressure was so good really for the first 2 games, or maybe say the second half of the first game, almost the entire game against Dallas, and then the first half of this game. Ball pressure, really good all around the board. And I want to give props to Bub Carrington. I think the comment section in here has been killing him, but he's actually looked really good in terms of his on-ball defense. I know he struggled a little bit finishing at the rim, but a work in progress for Bub Carrington. I'm not going to talk too much about his offensive game today because I was pleased with the effort he put in. Ultimately, the effort from everybody was poor in the second half defensively, so I'm not going to give everybody a pass for what happened in that second half today. 88 points given up by this Wizards team, as we've said so many times throughout the show. But when you get Bilal back, I wonder what this lineup is going to look like. I really do, AB, just because who becomes the odd man out in this situation? I feel like you have to have Bilal back in the starting lineup, but maybe it won't be that way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough conversation. And I love Chris Middleton, Ben, the veteran presence that he brings, but for me, it's all going back to what we're trying to build here, the youth movement. So I think you start Trey, you start Bub, you start Bilal, you start Keyshawn, you start Alex Sarr. It wouldn't make sense. I understand you want to maximize the trade value of Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum, but I think the needs of developing the young guys is much more bigger compared to the vets. And I just think Bilal, how will he be able to adjust post-injury? And again, in this offense where first couple of games, I mean, it's just like it's very up and down, Ben. Like when it comes to being volatile and the stagnant movements, we want to see more ball movement. And the ISO ball was just a problem that we saw last season with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. So we're hoping that, again, this is just game 3 and this team figures it out. And they just need to play better, Ben. I mean, again, giving up 139 points, no NBA team's going to win like that. To be real, unless like you're dropping 145. But yeah.
I think we're going to be a pretty Jekyll and Hyde basketball team when it comes to the defensive effort. You're going to get over an 82-game season. You're going to have nights like this where you're going to lull. But hopefully you have more nights where you compete, where you play damn defense. Stop making the same mistakes over and over again. Tonight, it was unacceptable. Don't get me wrong, but not going to beat it up too much because long season ahead. It's going to be a long year. Wizards fans, you know that. You're smart. You understand what's going on this year. So, we all got to lock in right now and just take a deep look where we are as an organization and figure out what things can get better. How can guys develop as the season goes on? Hopefully defense is part of that equation. Let's take one more quick break. We come back. Let's just break down some other observations from tonight. Wizards fall 139-113 here in D.C. The NBA is back, and there's no place better to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I mean, Charlotte, they made the push the entire second half today. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. AB, it was interesting to see Cam Whitmore play in a regular season game at home for the first time today. And I know his name circulated a lot on social media because of potentially some of the attitude things we saw in Dallas. The one clip in particular where Keith called a timeout and he was irate at Cam. Cam sat on the bench. I think he threw a towel. And a lot of discourse around that circulated saying, does this guy have attitude problems? Is this the same that we've seen in Houston? I'm not ready to really dive too deep into that so far. He's an exciting player when he gets going. You saw a couple of those instances today where Cam Whitmore started to really make his presence felt throughout the ball game. Ultimately, he finishes as a minus 16 today, which doesn't look too good in the stat sheet, but the plus-minus was negative for everyone today, obviously, because of how bad things went in the second half. He put up 10 points on 4 of 10 shooting. He has the ability to be explosive and get to the rim a ton, which I really enjoy. But there are some times where I feel like he tries to do a little too much. And I know he's a pure scorer, and that's what you bring him here to do. But I think at times maybe you need him to dial it back a little bit, get a little more adjusted to the offense and the way they want it to flow. And a couple of turnovers in that second half that Whitmore committed were pretty pivotal in terms of Charlotte getting into its groove offensively.
Yeah, and I love Cam Whitmore, Ben. Will Dawkins traded 2 second-round picks for him to be here in D.C., grew up in the area, was a Wizards fan until he was for his whole life, and I feel like it's gonna be like a high and low experience with him. Like you mentioned, Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to the Wizards squad. Cam Whitmore's gonna be nights where it looks frustrating. He's like going into someone and not kicking it out when someone's wide open. I mean, he's like a running back when he goes in the lane, Ben. I mean, he's just so freaking explosive and he's so athletic. There was one play where Charlotte tried to inbound it and he just stole it, or they were trying to push it and slammed it in, and he definitely is so freaking athletic. And high flyers like him, Bilal Coulibaly, AJ Johnson on this team, it's very special, and we're hoping to see more of that come this season. But the Cam Whitmore experience, I don't know how to. I think it's too soon to evaluate. I think we'll have to see come the trade deadline. I want him to be a Wizard for life, Ben. There's a possibility where he might crack the starting lineup, but going back to what you were saying in the Mavericks game with that shot, and then on social media of him being perceived as a guy that just shot chucking. That's just one thing that we wanted to avoid. I know Linnell talked about how he said Kent Whitmore doesn't fit what Washington's trying to build. Taking shots like that on a fast break, that's something where Coach Kiff's going to be like, all right, you're out. So I'm hoping that Kent Whitmore definitely will find his role here in D.C. And maybe he is a starter. Maybe he is a guy who can just drop 20 to 25 points a game. We'll just have to see, because when Bilal comes back, the amount of touches that Coach Kiff is going to have to figure out, it's just something that we'll have to look forward to.
I like this comment here from Randall. We're going to be okay. They're all 19 to 21 Wiz fans. Have some patience. Let the process of rebuilding happen. Seeing the development already. I tend to agree with that, and this buzzer just keeps on going off and interrupting me. But I've seen plenty of positive development over these first 3 games. Obviously, the leaps and bounds that Keyshawn George has made. And today's the primary ball handler, which we've seen him get plenty of reps at. He struggled a little more today as the primary ball handler than we had seen in the first couple of nights. Still found a way to fill up the stat sheet, 8 rebounds and 5 assists for George, but obviously a very tough night for him offensively, 3 of 7 from the field. Didn't really get the opportunity to assert himself, got into foul trouble, but I think it's a testament, his foul trouble, because of how hard he plays defensively. The way he pressures the ball, picks up beyond half court, gets in the face of LaMelo Ball. I was excited to see him get tasked with that assignment.
Him and Miles Bridges, Ben, that's like 2 oxes going at each other.
It's crazy. Then Trey Johnson as well. I know the biggest concern for him coming out of Texas was his defensive game. I think Trey Johnson actually been pretty good defensively. He had the 1 rep in the corner. LaMelo Ball tried to rip baseline. Trey stuck with him the whole way, and he forced LaMelo to shoot it off the top of the backboard. Trey Johnson, he's a competitor. He's out there competing. You saw it late. And even on the one play, I spotted this, AB. What was it? Yeah, Trey, on the fast break, gave a really nice pass inside to TV, who ended up getting swatted off the backboard. And Trey yelled at him, "You need to dunk that." Like, that's the kind of leader that you already have in Trey Johnson. He's out there commanding what he needs to see from his other guys around him, because you know that he was frustrated, that he was out there on the floor when things fell apart in this game.
Yeah, Trey Johnson, Ben, I mean, he's been checking off all those boxes. I think he's only going to get better every single game. And like you mentioned, yelling at TV, telling him to dunk it. This is a rookie. This is 3 games in of his rookie season. And, I mean, is there going to be a point in time, Ben, where this kid, the offense is going to run through him? We love Keyshawn George. We love what he did in Dallas. But Trey Johnson was a 6th overall pick, so there's going to be a game where it's like, let's give this kid a lot more touches than what we've been giving him. And he had 29 minutes, and 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. His ability to also do things outside of scoring, that's just amazing. And like you mentioned, the on-ball pressure on LaMelo Ball, that's what you love to see. LaMelo Ball, superstar or all-star, borderline superstar in the game of basketball, having a rookie saying, hey, I want to go out there and guard him. Those are things that he'll build on, and that eventually when the lights are the brightest, he's going to go out there and perform at a high level. Absolutely. I think you put it very astutely there, Abdullah. It's a tough one tonight, but we got to continue to look 30,000-foot view on this organization. There's a long way to go. The effort defensively was unacceptable tonight, and hopefully that changes. You're back in action against a Philadelphia team that's got a lot of talent coming to the building. You left your fans with a very, very sour taste in your mouth in the second half. You saw fans leaving early. Are you going to take that personally if you're the Wizards? I don't know. We'll see, but things are going to have to be better on Tuesday. That's for sure. We want to thank all of you who tuned in with us live here from Capital One Arena following the Wizards' 139-113 loss to the Charlotte Hornets. Bigger picture at hand here. You got to look in terms of development, and you got to look from the 30,000-foot view, not the 3-foot view. Tonight was tough, but things will get better in the future for this Washington team. All right, everybody. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober. We sign off here on Locked On Wizards.